that some of us may be familiar with. Most of what I'll put on the screen. Normally, for Bible study, I will engage the brethren in reading the Bible as we discuss what we're talking about. But since I'm using what I want to use as my sermon, as my Bible study, which means I'm just putting it on the system, on the screen for us to look. And we can still follow along. The statement says that mountain tops, and it was made by Billy Graham. Most of us will know who Billy Graham is, right? He's a world-renowned preacher. He said mountain tops are for views and inspiration, but fruit is grown in the valleys. Can anybody guess where this picture was taken? Nigeria or abroad? Nigeria. Yeah, it was taken in Challenger 2010 in Jos. That's Mr. Gundu and the MC brother. All of you know that famous Mr. Gundu. On the top of the mountain where we have Challenger, it was roughly about 4,000 above sea level. If you take Jos, that is already 3,000 above sea level. That means you are like almost 7,000 above sea level. We had trekked all through the night. We started working about 9 o'clock in the evening when we got to Tensi. And we hiked with all our backpacks till almost 2 a.m. to get to Manguna village where we were to sleep. And we just put our tents in the middle of the village and we slept there till the following morning. And then after the morning, after some refreshments, 2 quarters from the village, we took another almost 2-hour hike to climb and walk up that hill. On top of that mountain is where we set up our camp. And when you are on the top of the mountain, this actually is what you will see. You will see an amazing vista ahead of you. The view is just wonderful. And sometimes when you look so far ahead, it's inspiring to see, the wonders of God's creation. But in all the times when we were walking around using our maps from one hill to another mountain to another valley, not once did we come upon a mountain where they had planted things. Most things are grown in the valley. People will grow things in the valley because when it rains, because of the slope and the uneven nature of the mountain, water will run in the form of an erosion, and any topsoil that is there will not actually stay. Okay, there are often bushes and some shrubs on mountain tops, but they will not be as much because they won't have the depth to peak to the water table. And so most of the nutrients, frankly, will percolate down and move into the valley. In fact, a lot of dead things will also come down, the rain will bring them out of the valley, and they'll form a rich bed that human beings know that's where things should be grown. If you want to dissect this statement that mountaintops are for views and inspiration, we will look at what mountaintops stand for. So for our purpose, and remember the person who coined that phrase, that mountaintops are for views and inspiration, but it's in the valley that you have growth. He's a preacher. And so he has something beyond just admiring, the horizon and seeing everything going far, far ahead. That is ahead of us when he was coining it. So he had some spiritual truths in mind. And the mountaintops, when you look at what it means, it's talking about a time when everything is going well. When things are moving in the right direction, we feel good. We're making progress. Everything looks good. So when we're on the mountaintop, like the song, I'm on the top of the mountain, When you are on the mountaintop, when you feel on top of the mountain, it's like, yes, I feel like a king. Everything is working out for me. I have everything I want. I'm able to meet all my needs. Or everything that I can dream of or that is good is aligning and working well for me. Those are mountaintops. On the mountaintops of our lives, all of us, without exception, we do not grow. There is no growth on the mountaintop. There is almost no growth on the mountaintops because we are at peace, we are relaxed, and everything is working out for us. We are often carried away in that joy and that relaxation. There is rarely much growth. And yet life is a series of growth, isn't it? We are either growing or we are regressing. There is really no stagnation in life. We are growing from the moment we are born. There's a time when we frankly stop growing. And then what happens as we stop growing? Even though our age continues to increase, but really it's a countdown, isn't it? When a child is 1 year old, who would say that child's every year, oh, my boy is 2 years old now. My boy is 3 years old. Oh, my son or my daughter is 4 years old. We are thinking, wow, I mean, life is still ahead, isn't it? Who will ever say, when somebody is growing a year older as a child, that the person is actually counting down to when they will die? Who uses that statement? We rarely do, isn't it? But when we see someone who is 50, who is 60, who is 70, even the person will know that every year he or she is closer to when they will do what? They'll go to sleep, isn't it? If we truly want to grow, we have to be in what is called the valleys. And what's in the valley? The valleys are those times when things are not so good. When life is boring, scary, it's antagonistic, and we're struggling. Those are times when we're in the valleys. And that's where growth takes place. We went for an IBM training program in the week. An organization on which I, on the board of trustees, have a kind of an MOU with IBM. And the aim was for us to train 200,000 IT specialists, or even if they are non-techies, okay? But anyone who is interested in IT skills, to train 200,000 of them on digital skills for 2019-2020. And IBM has a platform that they've put together. If you are outside Africa, it's something they're trying to do in the whole of Africa. We brought them to Nigeria. If you're outside Africa and you try to access that website, you won't see it. You won't find it. They made all those training, all those resources actually free for those who are in Africa. Totally free. In the first video lecture, I went there, took some of my staff there, and just to be there, some of the representatives of if we're organizing a program with an external body, obviously some of the officials of the people organizing it would need to be there. So I was there on that day because I was like, apart from the training on artificial intelligence, cloud technology, you know, web programming and some of the other things that there are things I figured I have a handle on. So I got there and the first video when someone is explaining what is AI. Do you know what AI is? How many of us know what is AI? Okay, what's AI, Bobby? Exactly, artificial intelligence, okay? And the man was explaining and breaking down what artificial intelligence was. He made one statement that one of my staff was asking me, what does that mean? What's the meaning of that statement? And the statement the man said was this: growth. Growth. Okay, let me just ask. Who remembers what that statement is? For those who are not trained. Okay, fly, what was it? Okay. Some places. Ruth. Exactly. It says growth and convenience cannot coexist. Growth and convenience. You know what convenience is? Comfort, relax, something that's relaxed and is easygoing. So they cannot coexist. They cannot live together. If you want to grow, you cannot expect to be having convenience and comfort. And if you want comfort and convenience, then we cannot grow. Right? Okay, since it's a Bible study, I have to throw in some degree of interactivity in it. Is there any scripture that supports what this man has said? Is it true? Because every time we see cliches, we come across cliches a lot, especially these days of social media. Oftentimes I've said to a number of us that before we will adopt some of those cliches, because some of them they look like, wow, this speaks to me. We should always ask ourselves, Okay, is it aligning with God's word? Can anyone tell me if there's a scripture that talks about growth and comfort not working together? Or you have any other example? Yes.
John 15.
John 15.
From verse 1 to 2.
Okay.
I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. And every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit.
So pruning a branch of a tree to make it productive is not really convenience.
Exactly. You want your plants to grow and bear fruit well. Branches that are coming out, just you think those branches coming out are part of what make it grow up, isn't it? Absolutely not. If you want your plants or whatever it is you are planting, your fruit tree to grow tall and bear much fruit, you should take like a scissors, a pruning shear, isn't it? And you'll be cutting it and be pruning it. So the more you prune that plant, the better it will actually grow as well. Any other one, any person else? Any other word from scripture that tells us that? Because the problem is sometimes we have our own idea, our own views of how life should be. And oftentimes it's at loggerheads, not to the same level as what the creator of man beings, who gave us a manual to live by, says. Rotiwa, you had your hand up.
Romans 5, verse 2, verse 3.
Yes, that's one of the classics too. Romans 5, yes, read it.
And not only that, but we also glory in tribulations, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance character, and character hope.
Exactly. That we should be happy when we have difficulties, because difficulties will produce in us endurance, and endurance is character, and that is a form of growth, because that's what God wants us to have, character. So if we want convenience, we want easy things, and yet we want to grow and develop, it's not going to happen. That's what it says. That's what happens in the valleys. So in the valleys, where things looks as if, okay, you know, it's not at the top, you don't see the views, you are right down in the middle. If rain falls, there will be floodings in the valleys. All the nutrients and the water and everything that's coming from the top of the mountain will cascade downhill and it will flood the valley. But at the end, when the water goes down to the ground, what happens? Topsoil is super rich. It's brought in all the nutrients and things that will enrich that soil. Ultimately, that's where growth will take place. So, many times, we ought to, and hopefully, I believe, look to the Bible for inspiration to keep going. And then try and make sense of all that lives bring our way sometimes. On a daily basis, as we go through our life, well, we're so busy. Our life is so tough sometimes. Sometimes we're so busy and focused on making ends meet, providing for our children, making sure that we are able to support ourselves, our lifestyles, the things that make life worth living. It takes a lot of our time. It therefore stops us oftentimes from having focus or having a schedule of studying God's word and trying to actually let them be in us. It is when those things are in us that when we go through the normal valleys that life will throw at us, we can grow. There will be the nutrients that will be the bedrock of our growth. And it's not just reading them, it's reading them, thinking about them, and using them at the times when we need to grow. That's how it is. So what I really want to do today in this Bible study is to have us look at some of the words in this Bible and how these words can actually help us to trust God's promises. How it can help us to trust God's promises. I actually have spoken on this before. I used this message, I modified it a bit. 2008, I think. 2008. I used 2008. That's quite a while. I figured 11 years. So I figured 2009. Oh, okay, I can see December 12, 2009. How many of you remember, how many of you remember the first two slides I used on this? quite a while. Okay, so I'm good. I'm not going to bore anybody. Okay, so in that year, 2009, okay, they actually looked at what people search online. Those who use iPhones. What do they search online when they are looking for scriptures, when they are looking for meaning? In fact, in one study, I Googled need friends. And I got almost 383 million hits. Need friends. People who need friends. Then I Googled want friends. And I got almost 400 million hits of people who want friends. So sometimes you can put amazing things on Google. And the AI will crawl the net in seconds and bring out tons of information. So they looked at some of the top 5 scriptures that people look for online that year on iPhones. The first one, of course, is that Isaiah 40:31. We're going to just look at all those scriptures and see the rich meaning they may be giving to those who are searching for them. And hopefully can encourage us to have our own set of scriptures that we will mark, that we will note, so that when we face our own valleys in life, when we are down the mountain path, from the mountaintop, because God takes us oftentimes from one mountaintop to another, but He allows us to pass through valleys to get to those mountaintops. So once we have grown, He allows us to enjoy that growth, that stage of growth for a while, and then the next level of growth is coming, because it's constantly improving us. So to take us to the next level of growth, He throws us down the valley. And if you don't know that this is a process that is going to eventually make us grow, and the rich depth of meaning and nutrients that the valleys can provide for us, we will miss them. And it is the word of God that will form those nutrients that will stabilize us. There is Deuteronomy 31 verse 6. Deuteronomy 31 verse 6. Psalm 103 verses 2 and 3. We're going to read all of this. Galatians chapter 6 verse 9. And of course Philippians chapter 4 verse 6. Philippians chapter 4 verse 6. Those are the top 5 scriptures people search for online that year. I know some people, the scripture they will look for is how to stop yawning. I'm trying to explain. So it's like lazy Bible study. So let's look at Isaiah chapter 40 verse 31. Here's what is there. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary or tired. They shall walk and they will not faint or lose heart. Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall renew their strength. When their strength is fading or is about waiting, God will be the one who come and renew it. It says they shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and they will not be tired. They shall walk and they will not faint. So what does wait upon mean that is used there? Is from the Hebrew word kavod. And it's a primitive word that means to bind. It means those who tie themselves more or less to God. To bind together. By twisting and braiding, that ladies do braiding and whatever. When they will take extra hair and they will twist it and braid it into their natural hair. That is not just easy to just remove it. It's different from wig. Some of us, our hair is natural. And one day I will twist my own like that. I will do braiding. It also means collect or expect or to gather together, to look or patiently, to tarry and to wait. So it says those who wait, those who attach themselves, those who bind themselves to God and look to God, says they will run and they will not be tired. Perhaps some people there's something they've been looking to God for. There is a promotion, a need, a desire, a gift, a blessing, a healing, or whatever it is that they've been looking to God for. The heart of man sometimes gets weary with time because we are time bound. Time bound. Every year we sometimes look like an eternity when we are wanting something. You can look at kids who are even very small. Mommy, I want water. I'm coming. Mommy, I want water. They will ask you in 10 times in 1 minute. Mommy, I want water. Mommy, I want water. I'm coming. They can't wait. The same way with us adults. Sometimes we want something. It's not easy to want something and to not get it. It's not easy to deal with. But who knows? Maybe the people who are searching for this are trying to find a way to console themselves that God is still there. That He's still there. So, when we look at God's Word and we use them as something that we can attach to our situation, they can help us to come out of difficulties, to be able to actually have the kind of growth in the valley that we may be, in the low situation we may be. It will allow us to grow in character as God expects us to grow in character. So let's learn to develop our own set of scriptures. I'm hoping all of us have various scriptures that we can always apply, that will just pop up into our head. You feel depressed. Somebody did something to you that is like a betrayal. Or somebody is cheating you. Or somebody is taking advantage of you. Injustice. Is it oppression? Is it unfair treatment? Or is it slander? Is it gossip? Is it faced with hatred? Is it faced with harsh words? Whatever it is. Is it a personal injury? Is it a request from God that has not been answered, seemingly? Is it a desire for something that we really want at a specific time, at a particular period, and it seems not to be coming? So what do? Can anyone, let's see, if 2-3 people, okay, let's see, 3 people here can come up with scriptures that can be in line with what we read in that place in Isaiah. Anyone from your own? You want something and it seems not to be coming. Okay? What scriptures can we use that can encourage us, that can help us to be strong and be patient and to look to God and to wait for God? Right now, just off the top of your head, even if you don't remember the scripture, the word, yes. Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 17 to 19, 15 to 17.
The vision is yet for an appointed time.
Okay. The vision is yet for an appointed time. There is a time when it is coming. That was not even my own place, but that's a good one as well. You have to recognize that it's like saying, okay, God has told you something. What did God tell us? Fear not. Isaiah 43, right? Verses 1 and 2. I have called you, I have redeemed you, you are mine. So God says so. He said you will walk through the waters, through the rivers. They will not flow over you, you will not be overwhelmed. You will walk through the fires and you will not be burned. Okay, but this thing that's happening to me, I feel I'm burning really right now. Right now I feel I'm overwhelmed. Then I remind myself, no, the vision is yet for what? An appointed time. There is a time for everything. I'm just going to wait until God's time comes. Habakkuk 3, verse 17. Somebody should read it. We need to read something.
It's verse 3.
Sorry?
It's verse 3.
I know, Habakkuk 3:3.
2 verse 3.
Okay, 2:3. Yes, I'm just saying somewhere else. Habakkuk 3 from verse 17.
Though the fig tree may not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, though the labor of the olive may fall, and the fields yield no food, though the flock may be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will join the God of my salvation.
Is it not tallying with Isaiah? Is it not? That place we read. It means no matter what happens, doesn't matter how tough it is, doesn't matter how difficult it is. You know what? Even if everything is empty, even if it's difficult to cope, even if it looks as if there's nothing for me to hope about, I will still join the God of my salvation. I'm hoping we all should have our own scriptures. As expected, I will see somebody just say this. We need to develop and have our own. We've said this many times. Look, when we're in the valleys, at the period when we have tests, is it not? Valleys are like when you have exams. During exams, are you allowed to go and carry textbooks? You're not allowed to carry textbook. You go and carry textbook at that time and carry expo. It's called what? It's called cheating, exam malpractice. The times when oftentimes we are down, it takes some some grace for people to actually go and carry. Let me see the Bible. Let me start looking for. At that point, our head may be in such turmoil that we don't even want to sit down and read the Bible. We don't even want to probably go and look at anything. And so it is what we have acquired, what we have learned, what we have put in place before that time that will help us. And we will all be in the valleys at various times in our lives. And that's where real growth comes. That's where real growth comes. There is a saying my dad used to say, even though it is often an extreme case, but it sometimes happens, okay? He would say in the olden days, so how true that is, I do not know, but I know I've actually, in one instance, I've seen that happen. And I've said this story before. A rich man who wanted to reward one of his wives, and he called a meeting of all his friends and told the woman to bring food for them, serve them. And as the woman was bringing food, he kept finding fault with everything. What is wrong with this useless woman? How long are we going to wait before we get food? My friend, will you hurry up quickly? Yes, my lord. And that's going to the extreme. Everything the woman was doing, the guy was just abusing her. We'll not even say, oh, thank you so much. So and so. So is that, what do you mean? You don't have to kneel down and give so and so. Is that how to give something? My friend, will you do that? Just constantly talking and the lady was just saying, yes, my lord. Now, whether in her mind she's causing him, we don't know. Try that with women of these days, probably. Carry that food and point on his head and say, okay, go and feed your friends. Maybe not. They said at the end of it, my dad said at the end of the day, when all the friends are eating and lady has packed all the things away, now called her to their midst and started telling them how awesome, how wonderful, how much she really loves that woman. And all of you can see her, she's of noble character. Did you see the way I was deliberately insulting her? It pains me every time I was talking to her like that. But I wanted to show her off to you that this is why I value her that much. You know, I've always told you how I love this woman, how I do this, how I do this. You guys don't see why I treat her like that. So I wanted you to see it. That's why every time I abused her, I talked to her like that, it was hurting me inside. But I wanted to show her off for who she was. And all the people, all the men there were like, wow. And then they would just shower that lady with gifts and money and everything like that. You know, sometimes too, I think God treats us in a certain way like that. Isn't that what we read in Romans 5:2? For we glory in what? In tribulation. Tribulation produces endurance, and endurance, character. Character is under provocation, under, duress. We still act calm, act normal. So we need to develop our own. We need to have this kind of thing. So second scripture that we want to look at again. Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 6. Deuteronomy 31 verse 6. Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear, nor be afraid of them. For the Lord your God, He is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear, nor be afraid of them. For the Lord your God, He is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. So there are times when maybe we feel scared. Maybe we feel threatened. This theme constantly comes up. There's no week it doesn't come up. Just yesterday, we were talking about a subject on one of my, my forum. It was about women and men. I don't know how many of you have seen that post on Facebook. And it was simply, on WhatsApp. It was talking about appreciate women. Say women are wonderful. That's the title of the Facebook. How many of you have seen that WhatsApp something? Women are wonderful. It was talking about how women are just awesome. They will wake up at 5 a.m. and they will service their husband. And the husband will go back to sleep. And then wake up again at 5:30 for morning devotion. And the husband goes back to sleep. And then they will go to the kitchen and start cooking. And then preparing his children for school. And then she will do school run in the morning quickly. And after dropping these children in school, she will now go back to her own work. When she finishes work, even in the middle of the work, 2 o'clock, she's leaving school, walk quickly, rushing out again to go and pick the kids from school again, that's school run. And then drop the kids at home, cooks for them, and quickly rushes back to work again. And then she comes back again in the evening, and she's cooking again for the husband. The husband, you just idiot husband. You just come home, you sit down, you are watching TV or watching football. Why don't you value your wife? You know, they went on like that. It was like the guy, men are just idiots. They just sit down. The woman sacrifices for the children, does this, does this, does this. And everybody started talking, and all the women on the forum are like, yes, women should appreciate us. You know, women, we sacrifice a lot to. In fact, if there are 2 meats in the pot, they will give one to the husband and the other to the kids, and the woman will not eat meat. That women are multitasking. They will sleep last. They will wake up first. Even when every husband and women and the children are sleeping and snoring, the women will go and be checking them, cover them with clothes and do everything. I was looking at all. Why are you smiling? Bob is laughing. I heard this, everybody, all the women were talking. It was like, yeah, women should appreciate us. So, and just like that. He got the point that I couldn't stand it. I said, you guys should, please, let's be realistic. You know, in these modern times, I doubt if you can find 10% of women or 20% of women who are like that. Hey, I said, I will tell you the truth. It's not possible. Money bought. I said, you need to stop stereotyping men. Okay? I said, stop stereotyping men. I said, this post, I will not share it with anybody or anything. If I'm going to share it, I will modify it. I said, you talk about it as if women are the ones who do everything in the relationship, and in marriage, in life, and everything, children. And men, what less idiots. I said, you continue to undervalue men. I said, look, yes, men must appreciate women, but women must also appreciate men. Let this thing be balanced. And it started, no, yes, but you see, women, they sacrifice more. They did this, they did that, they did that. It's like a lot of guys who are just waiting for somebody to talk. And then you started seeing posts coming. One guy said, look, let me be true. But I like the balanced diet Mr. Akinbo is putting there. It's true, women try a lot. You know, the same way men also try a lot. You say, in my house, 8:30, my wife is already sleeping and snoring. He says, it's me that will go and check the door, and check the lock, and check the kitchen, and do this. He said, I'm the one who carry children to school in the morning, I'm the one who pick them in the afternoon. When my children are sick, I will be the one. I've stayed with them in the hospital 2 days, 3 days. It's not because my wife doesn't want to stay. But you know, both of us understand. You know, some of them are talking about one guy said, apart from God, his father is the one who has made him who he was today. The guy is a friend in Canada. Everybody started talking. So I kept saying, look, the thing is that you should not stereotype. And before we know what was happening, one guy posted another thing. His own was like, appreciate men. They are dying and they don't recognize them. He said, they will say, even in weddings, they will keep saying, mother did this, mother did this. But when they want to talk about the men, you know, they will sing songs of enjoyment for the woman. For the man, it is, you don't go home, that's what, you don't die, that's what they're talking about. Then in that his post, he talked about, you came to your, I think I modified that and I put that on our forum. He said, the one for the women, I'm still modifying it, but that requires a lot of modification. Seriously, I cannot post the way it was. It would irritate somebody like me. And I had to tell them, say, let's balance this. In one of that, in that one for men, it says that the guy was asking for 10,000 naira. And he went to your father. And your father said, okay, I'll give you the money. And your father has only 10,000 in his pocket. In the following money, he gave you 9,000 and told you to manage it, okay? That's what I have. And you are not happy. But you grudgingly said thank you. As we are going out, thinking, I don't know what's wrong with him. I said I need 10,000, give 9,000. The original post actually said your mother saw everything, but she did not see anything. She will now come and meet you outside and say, don't mind him, Jare. Take this 2,000 out of the money, so that you have 11,000. Don't mind your father. I don't know what his problem is. And you are so happy. You go on Facebook, Instagram, I just love my mommy. My mommy is wonderful. He said, your father will go to work. He will trek. He will not carry his car because he doesn't have fuel. So he trekked to work. And when he got to work, he decided to do overtime so that he can earn extra money. And everybody was closing. The guy said he would stay and do overtime. People didn't know. And then he trekked back to the house. And later when the man has heart problem or whatever, and he died faster than your mom will be enjoying all the money and say, oh, my mommy is one who this. When I read that one, I replied again. I said, see, that's my problem. You are stereotyping this woman. What makes you think every woman will say, come and take, I don't mind your father? See, that's the stereotype that I'm saying. In society, we sometimes will speak in such a way that our ladies feel entitled. You know, I'm the wife now. After all, I gave birth to children. After all, I do this. So the man should treat me this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. And then the men, some of them will not talk. And then they too will feel, what is all this nonsense? Does she know what I go through to get money, to pay this, to this, to this? Okay now. I said, that's sometimes what causes problems. So, all those things started going on. And then one of them now said, okay, it's true, you men, in fact, we value you, we respect you. Then started praying. All of you men in our lives, our husbands, our men, anyone who does not want you to progress, they will die in their sleep. Anyone who does not value you and recognize the sacrifice you are doing, mother will jam them before the end of the year. I read the thing, and I was like, okay, if I talk now, this is Akinbo self, always bringing, it's always controversial. I now said, I said, already my sister, this is your prayer. Me, I will not say amen to it though. Like I will be saying things like that. You know, the Bible says you should pray for your enemies. She said, pray for enemy girl. Not in my, like me, I don't pray for my enemies. So I read curses on their head so that maybe when the problem enter their head, they will change. I said, lady, you are a Christian now. You are a Christian now. The Bible says, I started quoting those scriptures. And 10 of the women, and at least almost 6 or so, guys, Akinbo, you don't start with grandma again. Which one? We're saying that curse your enemy. We're saying prayer. We're saying, I said, it's not grammar. I'm just quoting what the Bible says now. I know that I'm not saying it's easy to love your enemy, but frankly, in Proverbs and in Romans, it says, when your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him water. And it says, when you are doing that, what do you say you are doing? You are putting coals of fire on his head. I said, it is God who will answer prayer or curses, right? And the same God that said, bless your enemy and do not curse them. And you are cursing them. Who is going to put the curse on them? Is it the devil who is instigating them against you, who will listen to them? So the devil will not put your curse on them because he's the one instigating them in the first place. And the God that you say, in fact, some of them say, we serve the living God who we will never pray for enemies. And I'm like, what do people read? So it's important, frankly, that's the point really I'm trying to make here, that we cannot be like the average person who moves around. We're so busy with our daily living that we don't have time to read the Bible. And in the times when we have issues, difficulties, or problems, we're not able to see the things that God has provided that will allow us to truly grow. And in that valley, that's frankly supposedly rich in nutrients, yes. Where we can grow, we will not grow, and we will just be dying inside there. And by God's grace, I believe all of us will not die, but we will live. So that I can proclaim the name of God, isn't it? But we need to learn to trust God's word. To trust the word, you must know what he has said, isn't it? We must read them. Promises, promises. You know, when I started working to memorize God's promises as a teenager, just to memorize promises, just to put them in my head. We can do so, isn't it? So what if I say I have 50,000 naira to anyone right now who can stand up without turning to the Bible and simply give 5 scriptures and the words to encourage someone who has just lost a child? How many people will be able to stand up and immediately start saying? Or someone who is facing slander and insult and gossip, who will be able to find something to encourage themselves to grow in that valley where they are, of slander and abuse and everything like that. So we need to not be so busy, you know, with all that we're doing, that we are waking up at 5 a.m. and we're rushing out of the house at 5:30, 6 o'clock, we're in traffic, we come back again, we're tired, and we don't really have time to study the Word of God. Because when the valleys where God wants us to grow comes upon us, we will be surprised that we will not grow. That's why many of us, the Bible says, even the very elect, they can fall away, isn't it? Because even when we are dying, we may not know we're dying. So it's important for us to learn to study God's word so that when we are facing tough times, it is those times maybe we are discouraged. Sometimes we may even be disgusted with ourselves or the people around us or our situation, our environment or circumstances. How did we think Abraham felt when for 25 years a rich man with means and has no child of his own? And he was getting older and his wife was already 75 years old, over 70 years old, way past menopause by over 20 years. How do you think he felt? And then God promised him, don't worry, you'll have your son. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, which means a slave in his house will have had a child, and that child will be 25 years old, and his own is not coming. How did we think he felt? What was the reason that Abraham did not lose heart in that valley? Anybody? What the Bible tells us was the reason Abraham did not lose heart in that valley? He believed God was able to do what he promised. That's what Paul said, isn't it? So he believed that God has told me this. This is his word. I hold on to it, right? God has said it is through my son Isaac. He will bless the rest of the world. I don't see the Isaac yet, but I trust his word. That's why I said we need to learn to trust God's promises. And of course, to trust those promises, we must know them. Look at some of these scriptures. As an addendum to that, Deuteronomy 21. Deuteronomy 21, verses 1 to 4. Says, then Moses went and spoke these words to all Israel. And he said to them, I am 120 years old today. I can no longer go out and come in. Also, the Lord has said to me, you shall not cross over this Jordan. Where do you think Moses was in telling them that? Where do you think he was? On the mountaintop? He was in the valley. I mean, Moses wanted to see the promised land. He desired to do the promised land. Why is he not saying it? Because he lost his temper once, right? Many times God lost his temper, I'm sorry to say. And Moses would beg God, say, please don't kill them. Then he lost his temper once. And God said, you did not, you see with your eyes, but you not enter there. The Bible says he pleaded with God twice. God said, my friend, don't bring this subject again. Okay, what if Moses in that valley, what if he becomes upset? Waiting happens, sir. This is unfair. Waiting, sir. I suffered for these people now. You know what? How many times you say you destroyed them when I begged you? You did this here, 10 times now. Is it only this once? And I'm begging you are saying I should not talk about it. Waiting happens, sir. Oh yeah, kill me. What if he does that? But you can read this and see that Moses accepted the situation. And he was actually patient and still trusting God and accepted that judgment. That was a growth, isn't it? That was a growth for Moses in that place where he was. Verse 3. The Lord your God himself crosses over before you. He will destroy these nations from before you, and you shall dispossess them. Joshua himself crosses over before you just as the Lord has said. He was focusing away from how he was feeling, and he was encouraging the children of Israel. And the Lord will do to them as he did to Sihon and Og, the kings of the Amorites and their land, when he destroys them. Deuteronomy 31, verses 5 and 6. Continue to just encourage them, rather than for him to be focusing on the fact that, I labored, I slaved, I suffered for all these people, I was aiming for it, and just because of one mistake like this, God says, I'm not entered there. Now wow, Why do people just go when you want to go? Whatever happens, I beg. I'm not going to go with you again. He was still looking out for them. He was still talking to encourage them. In that valley where he was, in that state of own depression and discouragement he was still growing. He was showing the kind of maturity and character that God wants. And he said, the Lord will give them over to you. Just encourage them that you may do to them according to every commandment which I have commanded you. Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear, nor be afraid of them, for the Lord your God is the one who goes with you, and he will not leave you. He continues to do that and was encouraging them all the way to verse 8. Moses called Joshua and said to him, in the sight of all Israel, be strong and of good courage, for you must go with these people to the land which the Lord has sworn to their fathers to give them, and shall cause them to inherit it. The Lord is the one who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. Do not fear nor be dismayed. I mean, can you imagine someone who did it not seem as if God forsook him, right? Would you not say God turned his back on him? But he wasn't seeing it like that. In that valley of God personally saying, you know, you're not going to see that, enter that place. You will see it, but I refuse to let. In fact, God specifically told him, I'm going to kill you. Did God not tell him he's going to kill him? Because God took him up a mountain. I used to think about that. See, I have a very funny mind sometimes. It's like God said, come, follow me. Let me come and show you something. And when he got there, and then he looked at God, showed him all, see that land there. That's all the place of this people will enter. And then God just said, yeah, die, boom. Actually, God didn't do like that. Probably just slept. Probably just was standing like this. 1 minute he was standing, next minute, it's like the turn of his lights. Isn't it? It requires a mindset and a focus on God's word to grow when we are in the valley. It requires a mindset. Look at what Hebrews 13 chapter 5 said, because the same word that Moses used, Paul used it in encouraging us, the people in his time actually, and us. He said, let your conduct, your behavior be without covetousness. Be content with such things as you have. There's nothing wrong with wanting something. But it says, with what you currently have. Even as you are wanting more and looking for more, you need to have a sense of balance. You need to have a sense of balance. For he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. It's like saying, you need to be relaxed and be patient. When God says something, you need to trust that he will do it. So you want this, you want this, you want this. Relax. He has already told you he will never leave you or forsake you. So take your time, relax, keep your cool. You don't seem to be getting, but you will get it. You will get it. So we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, I will not fear. What can man do to me? Okay, quickly. I'm almost ending now. Psalm 103 verses 2 and 3 is another popular one. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. This is cool. Who forgives all your iniquities and heals all your disease. God's children should not forget his benefit. When we're in the valley sometimes, we tend to forget all the good things we are getting from God. Sometimes one bad thing, we use it to forget and cover every good thing that may have happened in the past. Every benefit, every blessing, every gift, every opportunity that God may have shown to us, given us. Because we are currently in the valley, we are in the lows, we sometimes just totally forget everything. And David here is reminding himself. He says, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his blessings, all his benefits. He says one of the blessings is that he forgives all your iniquities. He forgives all your iniquities and he heals all your diseases. Let's read a little bit. The whole of that Psalm 103. I'm going to read from verses 1 to 5. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. It's like somebody reminding himself. This is Moses, David, in a valley right here. Depressed. He's down. And he's encouraging himself in God as he normally does. Again, looking to God's promises. He says, look, bless this God, oh my soul. Everything that is in me, with all my body. He was the one who invented it. You know, people used to say, I salute you with all my body. David invented it first. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and do not forget all his benefits. Who forgives all your iniquities, heals all your disease. He redeems your life from destruction, crowns you with loving kindness and tender mercies. who satisfies your mouth with good things, so that your mouth is renewed like the eagles. There is this guy in a book. The name is Steve Brown. The book is Jumping Hurdles, Hitting Glitches and Overcoming Setback. Jumping a hurdle, you hit some problems, and of course, overcoming setback. In that book, he wrote, the most unhappy person in the world is not someone who didn't get what he or she wanted. The most unhappy person is the one who got what he or she wanted, and then found out that it wasn't as wonderful as expected. That's the most unhappy person. So the secret to a happy life, or of a happy life, is not to get what you want. That's not what will make us happy. Say, but to live with what you got. The secret to a happy life is not to get what we want, but to live with what we got. Most of us spend our lives concentrating on what we don't have. Oh, I want this from God. Oh, I need this from God. And I've been looking to God to give me, I don't have it. We focus a lot on what we want, what we are not getting. We sometimes don't focus on what we have and thank Him and appreciate Him for that which we already have. And that is sometimes our problem. And we gripe and whine and waste our time hustling around, chasing inconsequentials and ringtones until at the end of the day, we've lost living. Instead of living, we're just existing. Fourth one, Galatians chapter 6 verse 9. And this one too I kind of like. In this world, if you can't trust this word, I think many of us probably go and live alone and live as hermits. Let us not grow weary or tired while doing good. For in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Human beings have a tendency to be very ungrateful. We have a tendency of taking the good. And when it seems not to be there, we walk away. We are often like fair weather friends. We will be happy when everything is good, but when it seems not to be, we become almost toxic. Therefore, people who do good, or people who have human kindness, who are nice or gentle, or people who really reach out a helping hand, they sometimes become very hard, they become very callous, and they become very reluctant to reach out a helping hand. Simply because, it's not worth it. All you get is what? Insult, malignment, slander, this and that and that and that. And Galatians 6:9 is one of the promises of God, revealed to us through Paul. Let's not get tired while we're doing what's good. Because in due season, at the right time, it says we will reap if we do not lose heart. Read a little bit further. Around and beyond that, Galatians 6:7, from 7. Do not be deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that he will reap. For he who sows to his flesh will of the flesh reap corruption. But he who sows to the Spirit will of the Spirit reap everlasting life. And let us not grow tired while doing good. For in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Therefore, he concludes, as we have opportunity, as the opportunity presents itself, he says, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith. And finally, Philippians chapter 4 verse 6. Philippians 4:6. Be anxious for nothing. In everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving. You notice it says, be anxious for nothing. And then it says, by prayer and supplication. And then with thanksgiving. It didn't say, don't want anything. Hakuna Matata. It didn't just talk about Hakuna Matata. Don't worry, be happy. It says, with prayer and supplication, make your requests with thanksgiving. Let them be made known to God. I'll read a little bit around there as well. Starting from verse 6. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Jesus Christ. I mean, where do we get worried? Where do we get depression? Where do we... they've been saying that depression is on the increase in Nigeria. that psychologists and those in mental, they now have, in fact, Lagos State now is having a mental response team of some sort. Is it know what they call it? It's like they are factoring in mental problems that people are beginning to have. The hospitals and psychiatric places and a lot of things are beginning to affect people, that people are getting a little bit mental depression. Again, there's enough trouble everywhere, isn't it? But even in the midst of all of that, you see those who can still smile every day and they're still happy every day. There's all a method to it. It says that it will guard our hearts and our minds if we follow what it's saying. Be anxious for nothing. With prayer and supplication of thanksgiving, let your request be made known to God. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true. The method is simply this. Don't focus on all the negatives around us. Don't focus on all the problems and all the issues. Focus on the things we have. Focus on the blessings we have. Do we know how many people are in the hospital this morning? Who have been there for years? Do we know how many breast cancer patients are in the hospital today? Single women, married women, breast cancer patients. Do you know how many people that have testicular cancer, benign prostate hypertrophy, cancer of the eyes, paralyzed, accident victims, who are in the hospital today and have been there maybe for weeks, and those who are rushed there this morning? Do we have an idea how many? Sometimes take time and go to LASUT. Go and look at the accident and emergency ward. Go and look at the children's ward. You will see singles, you will see married, you will see children, you will see adults in various states of diseases. One will do like this as you live there. I'm saying, God, I thank you for my help. God, I thank you for my help. There are some that they will even be wheeling around in the main road in between vehicles. Totally, open to the entire public, asking for people to make donations for them. Sometimes what we focus on is our problem. And it is when we look at God's word and we thank Him for the things we do have, that we will have that kind of growth that we can only have in the valleys. It was talking about all things good through, all the positive things that we should think about them. And then look at verse 9, in conclusion again. It says, the things which you have learned and received and heard from me and saw in me, this do, and the God of peace will be with you. I want to end it with where is it? This one. How many of you have watched this before? It's a short video about what is called a letter from God. It's very old. It was put together in 2010. Letter from God. How many of you have watched it before? Letter from God.